I'm Tyler with Techo-Bloc. Today we're talking about natural stone installation in a pool coping application. In this video, we're going to cover the recommended installation techniques to deliver the best possible results for our clients. We'll begin with material selection and layout, marking and cutting, followed by grade beam prep and adhesion. Then we'll wrap up with the final touches that ensure a beautiful and long-lasting install. We have 5 different natural stone coping, cap, and tread options. Option 1, limestone and onyx black. It's saw cut, then sandblasted, leaving a nice clean finish on the face for a refined and contemporary look. We also offer 4 sandstone options. There are bullnose and saw cut finishes available, offered in gray and beige. As with all natural stone, there will be color variations from stone to stone, making for a one-of-a-kind look on every project. Today we're going to use the sandstone bullnose in the gray color. Let's have a look at the tools and other products we'll be using for this installation. Nail pins and line collars, string line to keep the units running straight, a tape measure, and various squares to help with layout and marking. Cutoff or a quick cut saw with the appropriate blade for cutting natural stone, grinder with diamond cup and vacuum adapter, HEPA particle vacuum to capture the dust and harmful silica particles, keeping our lungs happy and healthy for years to come. Multiple levels of varying lengths, non-marring dead blow mallet, mixing paddle, a drill, a sponge for cleanup, various trowel, bucket for mixing our thinset, a caulking gun, caulking profile tool, painter's tape, and if that doesn't stick, some vinyl tape, rollers to apply sealer either before or after the installation. For materials, we have Thinset, for example, Ardex X90, a glass cleaner, and some self-leveling polyurethane adhesive or 100% silicone sealant. We have Alliance Signature Series, color enhancing, zero gloss natural stone sealer, available through any authorized dealer or Techo-Bloc site. Let's get started. In the corners, we have 2 layout options, 45-degree miter cuts or butt joints. First, we're going to mark the inside corner. We need to be careful when cutting to prevent blowing out the corner by trying to cut straight through the corner. To avoid this, we're going to cheat our line 1 inch on each unit to keep our saw blade from deflecting or flexing toward the end of the cut and potentially damaging the corner. If we have an outside corner, because of the bullnose, it's difficult to know where to draw the line to be sure we get through the bullnose cleanly. To overcome this challenge, we're going to take a quick measurement to be sure we hit our target. Measure the exact depth of the unit from the center of the bullnose. And again, add 1 inch to make sure we have some meat left on that bullnose to keep the blade from deflecting. Take that same measurement to the back or the straight edge of the unit. Then align the square and mark the 45 from that point. In this example, we have a band of Everest between our coping and our field. To keep a consistent look, we're going to miter those as well. For cutting, we have 2 blade options. For your IQ table saw, choose the purple blade, designed and tested specifically for natural stone and porcelain. This will give you the best results. If you're working with a cutoff saw or another format of chop saw or rail saw, the 1.4 BSM 4.6 or the 1.4 BSM 2.6P blades from Bartel Global are great choices. Every pool with a natural stone or concrete coping unit needs to have a grade or bond beam installed. This is a structure that's going to support the coping unit and keep it in place at the pool's edge. The design of the beam can vary in size and shape depending on the style of pool. For this application, we've decided to use a polymer-modified fiber-reinforced thinset mortar. It is a buildable material. Therefore, we don't have to have the beam perfectly pitched or entirely free of imperfections, because we will be able to make up for that with the thickness of the mortar. When applied using a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch notch trowel, the thinset mortar will be thicker than polyurethane glue, meaning we can then set the unit and tap down the back with our mallet to create the desired pitch. Although buildable, it is still important to identify and resolve any major deviations in the surface of the grade beam for the best possible adhesion and overall finish of the project. To identify any deficiencies, we're going to take the 4-foot level and make our way around the entire pool looking for high and low spots. There is a dip, we'll see light under the level, and if there are high spots, the level will rock. When we find the spot that needs to be cleaned up, we'll grab the angle grinder that is attached to the HEPA particle vacuum and make the appropriate alterations. If using a construction adhesive, we'll need to take more time ensuring proper pitch and smoothness. Since the coping unit needs to have a slight pitch back to sheet the water away from the pool, and because polyurethane adhesive isn't a buildable material, we need to make sure the grade beam is as close to perfect as possible. Therefore, some additional work may be required to remove imperfections and set the pitch correctly. In those situations, be sure to have an angle grinder with a cup wheel and a HEPA particle vacuum like this one from IQ equipped with the proper adapter to capture that silica dust produced in the process. This step is important. We need to get that water moving away from the pool. Dirty water in the pool messes with the pH and makes for more maintenance. After we've made any alterations to our grade beam, we want to make sure it's clean and clear of dust, dirt, and debris. Remove the grinder and give a quick vacuum around the entire perimeter. And if you like, you can follow that with a damp sponge to remove anything we may have missed. Our grade beam looks good, so now we're ready to mix some Thinset and start installing our units. There are options when setting these natural stone units, depending on the climate where you live. If you have freeze-thaw cycles, we recommend using a fiber-reinforced, poly-modified Thinset approved for exterior use. There are both single-component options such as Ardex X77 or X90, Laticrete Platinum or Multimax Lite, and two-part systems like Mapei Granny Rapids designed to hold the weight of larger units and withstand harsh climates. If you are somewhere warmer, like the southern United States, you can use a mortar application. In those climates, we recommend using Type N versus Type S. There are a few reasons for this, the first being Type S is very strong. Being high in compressive strength may appear to be a good attribute. However, having a bonding agent that is as strong or stronger than the product that you're installing will often result in damage caused by movement in the substrate transferring up to the unit. Type N, on the other hand, has more lime in the mix, resulting in more plasticity. It will allow the mortar to absorb some of the movement and help prevent damage caused from below. For this demo, we're using a microfiber reinforced, poly-modified Thinset. Make sure to follow the mixing directions on the bag and aim for a toothpaste-like texture. You want to make sure it's nice and smooth to work with, but not so soft it collapses under the weight of the unit. Trowels come in many different shapes, sizes, and notch configurations. If your grade beam is perfect and already poured with a slight pitch away from the pool, you can use a smaller notch size. If your grade beam is not pitched back and has some more deviation, use something larger like this 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch trowel in order to give yourself the ability to create that pitch and compensate for variations in the surface. When applying the Thinset to the grade beam, you can go either direction. Bear in mind that you're going to compress the Thinset, so keep approximately 1 inch back from the pool's edge to keep the mess to a minimum. Work the Thinset back and forth, pressing into the substrate, and be sure to use the notches to keep a consistent thickness. On the coping unit, we want to start by using the flat side and really make sure we scratch in the back of the unit. This will get some moisture working into the unit and maximize adhesion. The grade beam is pitched and we don't need to build up Thinset. We can just leave a thin, flat, scratch coat and then set the unit. If, however, we need to build, we want to use the notches again. This time, working the Thinset in a perpendicular direction in order to maximize the build, giving us maximum height and adjustability. Now we're ready to set the unit. As these units are 4 feet long, the use of a vacuum or suction tool is recommended. Once the unit is in place, start by setting the overhang with a tape measure and then tap into place, being sure to give a few extra taps on the back end to create that pitch away from the pool. In order to have a square starting point, we want to set the second corner unit with a square and pull a string line as soon as possible, using the 3-4-5 triangle rule to double check our 90-degree angles before moving on to the next unit. Keeping in mind that in all construction projects, there might be some inconsistency in the pool's edge or the grade beam. Now it's time to finish our joints. Often, projects will have long-term performance issues caused, in part, by the decisions made at this stage. The coping units are adhered to a rigid pool structure, but the surrounding pavement is usually a flexible system. That is why the use of a transition joint is required. This helps the pool and pavement continue to behave with the surrounding environment independently of each other without causing damage. For this transition joint, there are 2 options: a polyurethane self-leveling adhesive or 100% silicone sealant. Here, we're going to use the silicone. It's UV stable and available in many different colors. We're also going to make use of our foam backer rod, glass cleaner, and tape. For exterior applications, we want to have a 1/4 inch minimum joint space. So we're going to use a 3/8 inch foam backer rod. The backer rod will fill the bottom half of the joint and the top half will be filled with the silicone. This will allow the joint to compensate for any potential movement of our structure. We will start by using a putty knife to press the backer rod into the joints, making sure to have 1/2 inch depth throughout so we can get a thick enough layer of the sealant to be durable, but not so much to be wasteful. It isn't necessary to fill the entire joint top to bottom. Next, we'll need to tape off the joints to avoid a mess and give some nice clean lines with our silicone. Be sure to press the tape as much as possible into the surface of textured products like Everest. If painter's tape doesn't seem to stick, try a vinyl tape. Extra sticky, but will not mark or discolor the stone and is easy to remove. Pay close attention to make sure the lines are nice and straight, then cut off the excess in the corners. Now for the glass cleaner. If you don't already know this trick, you've probably been wondering, what is this guy doing with glass cleaner on a hardscape project? Spray a little along the joint after taping it off, and the silicone won't stick to the tape or to the tool, making for easy cleanup and a nice clean finish. Now, apply the silicone, being sure to fill that minimum 1/2 inch down to the backer rod. Follow that with the profiling tool and you have yourself a nicely finished joint. Finally, there is one last space we need to seal, and that's the space between our pool's edge and the coping unit itself. Although this Thinset is designed to be used around pools, we want to keep the water out from under our unit. And let's be honest, this results in a clean and professional finish. We recommend waiting an hour or so before removing the tape in case any spots need a touch-up. Once you're happy with how everything looks, cautiously remove the tape. Take your time peeling back the tape to make sure that any over-application of the sealant doesn't end up on the coping or pavers. If you're trying to match the rest of the paver joints on the project, consider sprinkling some of the polymeric sand over the fresh silicone joint before removing the tape. As with any hardscape project, a post-construction wash is recommended. Natural stone tried to minimize the use of any harsh acid-based products. Instead, look for something that is detergent-based and be sure to do a test clean on a cut-off piece or a less visible area before you commit to the entire job. Following the clean, a natural stone sealer or protectant is a great way to protect your client's investment. This one from Alliance is water-based, zero gloss, and color enhancing. bringing out the beautiful color variations of the stone and shielding it from sunlight, spills, and harsh pool chemicals for many years. Just like that, we're done. Now take a step back, check out the beautiful pool coping, and think about all the fun your clients are going to have in this pool for decades to come. For more information about Techo-Bloc's natural stone collection or our many other hardscape products, visit Techo-Bloc.com to contact your local authorized dealer or representative.